This is my ranking of every upcoming Marvel project by how excited I am for them. And this isn't just MCU projects, but everything Marvel. I will be talking about movies, shows, games, and some theme park rides too, because those are fun sometimes. So, enough introduction, let's just get straight into it. At last place, I'll have all of the live events, roller coasters, live performances, stuff like that. Because while some of them look cool, a lot of these I won't get to experience. At number 52, I have It's a Small World with Groot. This is going to be a water-based ride at Disneyland Tokyo. That's just It's a Small World, but with MCU characters. At number 51, I have Disney Destiny. It's an upcoming Disney cruise ship that includes several Marvel attractions. There's a Black Panther statue, a Doctor Strange lounge, a Spider-Man sculpture, a replica of Avengers Tower, a performance by Rocket and Groot, and a superhero academy for 3-year-olds. At number 50, I have the Stark Expo at Hong Kong. This is going to be a recreation of the Stark Expo from the MCU. It's also going to have a Spider-Man based attraction, which is pretty cool. At number 49, I have the Marvel at Sea Disney Adventure Cruise, which includes 3 attractions. Iron Cycle Test Run is a roller coaster that will allow you to ride the Iron Cycle prototype, which looks super fun. Pym Quantum Racers is going to be a bumper car themed ride based on Ant-Man, and Groot Galaxy Spin will let you pilot one of the Nova ships from Guardians of the Galaxy while listening to 80s music. All 3 of these rides sound super fun. At number 48, I have Marvel Universe Live. It's a live performance that features the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy teaming up to stop Loki and Nebula from ending the world. It looks family oriented, which is fine. At number 47, I have the Spider-Man roller coaster at Disneyland Shanghai. Not much information beyond that. It's just a Spider-Man themed roller coaster and it looks pretty cool. At number 46, I have the Infinity Saga concert experience. This is going to be a live concert that will play music from all 23 movies in the Infinity Saga alongside clips from the movies. Now, I have been to a concert like this before, and I must say that it is really cool to see the music being played live. It makes the entire experience much more impactful when the musicians are right in front of you. At number 45, I have the Avengers Campus expansion at Disneyland, California. It will include 2 new rides. The first is Avengers Infinity Defense, which is a story-based attraction that will follow the Avengers as they fight King Thanos, which is cool on its own. And the second attraction is the Stark Flight Lab, which allows you to test out experimental Iron Man technology. Now, both of these sound fun on their own, but it's also confirmed that Robert Downey Jr. will be returning to play Iron Man in both of them, which is absolutely insane. He's not only playing Doctor Doom, but also Iron Man. It's crazy that he's returning for a small project like this, but I'll take it. RDJ is amazing. At number 44, I have the Untitled Scarlett Johansson project. Now, there's little information about this aside from the fact that Scarlett Johansson will be producing with Marvel Studios. Now, I can't put it any higher because we literally know nothing about it. At number 43, I have the Untitled EA Marvel game. Now, again, there's very little information, so I can't really have any sort of opinion about it. But EA's other Marvel games seem promising, so I am curious to see what this will be. Okay, now on to the real list. At number 42, I have Spidey and His Amazing Friends Seasons 4 and 5. This is just a show for babies. I do not plan on watching this. Number 41, I have Iron Man and His Amazing Friends. It's a spin-off of the other show. I'm not watching this either. At number 40, I have Mephisto. This is going to be a special presentation about Mephisto. Now, I like the supernatural side of Marvel, but Mephisto isn't really the kind of character who should be the protagonist of any project, but who knows, it might be good. At number 39, I have Terror Inc. This is an upcoming horror show based on the Terror Inc. comic, which is about the anti-hero Terror who absorbs other people's powers. Now, I don't know much about Terror as a character, but depending on the script, it could be great, like Werewolf by Night, or it could be a flop like Hellstrom. We'll just have to wait and see. At number 38, I have Silk Spider Society. This is an SSU TV series that will follow Cindy Moon, aka Silk, who is bitten by the same spider as Peter Parker and is searching for her missing family. Now, I'm not a huge Silk fan, but the fact we might be getting more Spider-Man connections in the SSU is kind of exciting. At number 37, I have Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is going to be a live-action movie by Sony about Miles Morales, and it won't come out until after Brand New Day and Beyond the Spider-Verse. While I am excited to see Miles Morales in live action, we just don't know yet if this movie is going to be set in the MCU or SSU, or if it'll be its own standalone thing. So because of that alone, I'm very mixed on it. At number 36, I have Armor Wars. This is going to be a War Machine solo movie that follows Rhodey trying to stop Tony Stark's technology from falling into the wrong hands. Now, I like Rhodey as a character, but I just don't think he's main character material, and this movie has been plagued by production issues. While I hope it will be good, I'm just not sure. At number 35, I have Mystic Mayhem. This is a mobile RPG game that will allow you to build a team and fight against Nightmare and the Dream Dimension. Now, the voice acting and presentation looks decent, but I've never been a huge fan of mobile Marvel games. They've just never really grabbed me, but I will probably try this out once it releases. At number 34, I have Eyes of Wakanda. This is an animated series that follows the origin of the Hattusaraze, aka the War Dogs, and this series will be in an anthology format, with episodes set throughout history. Now, I've always liked how Wakanda has been portrayed in the MCU, but I have never really been interested in any of the spin-offs they have announced. But this series will feature an Iron Fist, not Danny Rand, but a previous one. So that definitely gives the series more credit, because the last time we saw Iron Fist was in 2018. At number 33, I have Doctor Strange 3. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Doctor Strange movies. They're okay, but they're never my go-to when it comes to rewatching MCU projects. However, the last movie did end on a cliffhanger, with Strange and Clea going to the Dark Dimension to stop incursions, so it will be cool to see how this movie resolves that. And this movie will come out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, so it might adapt the Time Runs Out storyline, which is the prelude to Secret Wars. If this movie does that, then I'll be very excited for it. At number 32, I have Wonder Man. No, I'm not super familiar with Simon Williams as a character. I know that he's both an antagonist to and a member of the Avengers, and this series is said to be a comedy series, which seems weird because he's not really a comedic character most of the time. The series will also feature Trevor Slattery, who is one of my favorite side characters in the MCU, and it will also introduce the Grim Reaper, who is both Wonder Man's brother and a supernatural supervillain. This series has potential, but I'm just not super hyped for it. At number 31, I have Strange Academy. It's going to be a TV series that follows Wong as he trains a new generation of sorcerers. Now, I'm not interested in slice-of-life superhero stories. They just never interested me, but I do like Wong as a character, so I think it'll be interesting. At number 30, I have Vision Quest. This is going to be a show that solely focuses on White Vision after the events of WandaVision, and it will conclude the story set up in both that series and Agatha all along. Vision was never a favorite character of mine, but this series will include the return of Ultron. Now, he did die in Age of Ultron, so we don't really know how they're going to bring him back, but the conversations between Vision and Ultron are some of the best moments in the entire MCU, and I'm excited to see their dynamic again in this series. And this series will also have the return of Raza, who, if you don't remember, is the man who kidnapped Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie. Now, like Ultron, he did appear to have died, but rewatching it, he was only tased by Obadiah. He never outright died on screen, so seeing what role he has will be interesting as well. At number 29, I have Ironheart. Now, I've never liked Ironheart as a character. She's annoying in the cartoons, and she was the worst part of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But the trailers for this show do look kind of cool, and it will have the Hood as the main villain, so having a sort of technology versus magic story does seem kind of interesting. At number 28, I have Black Panther 3. Now, there's little information about this aside from the fact that it is happening. This movie might be about Shuri, but since it will be coming out after Doomsday, it might include either a T'Challa variant or a grown-up version of T'Challa Jr., but whoever the protagonist will be, I do like the Black Panther movies, so I'm excited for a sequel. At number 27, I have Spider-Noir. This is going to be a black and white TV series that follows Spider-Noir, played by Nicolas Cage, presumably a different version than the one from the Spider-Verse movies, but I am kind of worried, since this series will be set in the Sony Spider-Man universe, which is mostly bad except for the Venom movies, and plus Spider-Man Noir is Peter Parker in most versions, but the SSU version of Peter Parker wasn't born until 2003, and this series is set in the 1930s, so the timeline is very questionable, but still. The trailers look good, and Nicolas Cage has already shown us he is good at playing the character, so I'm pretty excited to see how the series turns out. At number 26, I have the Blade movie. Now, this movie is infamous for being plagued with production issues, and we probably won't see this movie coming out for a long time, but I love Blade as a character. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters ever, and I think Mahershala Ali is a great fit for the role, even though it is weird that he also played Cottonmouth in Luke Cage, but his cameo in Eternals was pretty cool, so I'm excited to see him in his own project. I just hope it'll be R-rated though. At number 25, I have Nova. Now, this series probably isn't going to come out anytime soon, but I do like Nova as a character, and I hope this series will be able to do him justice. At number 24, I have the Black Panther game. There's not a lot of information about this game, but it will be an open world game that allows you to explore Wakanda, which sounds pretty cool. At number 23, I have Cosmic Invasion. This is going to be a retro style beat 'em up set during the Annihilation wave, and you'll be able to play as many different characters and team up to fight Annihilus in either single player or split screen. I'm not a huge fan of beat 'em ups, but this game is being made by the same people who made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, was one of the best beat 'em ups in recent years. At number 22, I have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Seasons 2 and 3. Now, I wasn't hyped for Season 1, but it ended up being a lot better than I thought it would be. And with so many story threads set up in Season 1, I'm very hyped to see where the story goes next. At number 21, I have Marvel Zombies. This 4-episode miniseries is going to continue the zombies storyline from What If, and will include a new group of survivors as they fight against the zombie horde. But what really excites me is that this show will be rated TVMA, which means they're not going to hold back when it comes to the gore and violence, which was definitely toned down a lot in What If. At number 20, I have The Punisher's Special Presentation. This is going to follow Frank Castle in between the events of Daredevil Born Again Seasons 1 and 2, and will presumably involve him breaking out of prison. I'm glad that Frank is getting another solo project, but I just hope he has better writing than in his Netflix show. At number 19, I have the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is going to be the next MCU movie that comes out. It will be set in an alternate universe, and it will have the Fantastic Four protecting their world from Galactus. And this movie will also allegedly be the first appearance of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, which is super exciting. And while the trailers look good, I do have some doubts, because spoiler alert for the end of Thunderbolts, but at the end of that movie we see the Fantastic Four entering the main universe of the MCU, which kind of spoils this movie, because we know that they're probably going to lose against Galactus, which will lead to them escaping to the Sacred Timeline. So it's just kind of hard to get invested in a movie where you know the heroes are going to lose. Regardless, I am very excited for this movie. All of the previous Fantastic Four movies are horrible, so I hope this movie is going to break that streak. At number 18, I have Spider-Man Brand New Day. This will be the last movie that comes out before Avengers Doomsday. I love the MCU Spider-Man movies and I can't wait for the sequel, because No Way Home was one of the best MCU movies ever. Now, there's been a lot of drama behind the scenes between Marvel and Sony regarding what they want this movie to be about. Sony wants it to be another big multiverse movie where Peter teams up with Venom to fight Null, but Marvel wants a more street-level movie where he teams up with Daredevil and Black Cat to fight Kingpin. Honestly, both of those ideas sound great, but this movie will probably be a mix of both, because the last episode of Daredevil Born Again teases a team-up between Daredevil and Spider-Man, which makes sense since they did meet in No Way Home, but the post-credits of No Way Home did also set up Venom, but I'd be fine with whatever they choose to do, because they have a very talented team working on this movie. At number 17, I have Deadpool and Wolverine 2. It will feature Deadpool teaming up with 3 to 4 members of the X-Men after the events of Deadpool and Wolverine. And since Deadpool and Wolverine is the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, it makes sense that they'd want to make a sequel. The director hasn't been confirmed yet. Ryan Reynolds will be involved, which is great to see. At number 16, I have Spider-Woman. This is going to be a sequel and spin-off to the Spider-Verse trilogy, and will include Gwen Stacy, Jessica Drew, and Silk. Now, this team-up doesn't sound super interesting to me, but I love the Spider-Verse movies, so I do have hope that this movie will reach the same heights. At number 15, I have Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Now, I love Daredevil. He's my favorite superhero, and Daredevil is probably the best Marvel show ever made. But to be honest, Born Again Season 1 was the worst Daredevil season by far. The story just felt rushed, and Muse and White Tiger didn't get as much screen time as I hoped they would. However, it was still a very solid season, and I attribute most of its issues to production problems due to the whole scrapping and overhaul of the original script. So I expect that Season 2 will be a lot better. And plus, Jessica Jones is going to team up with Matt this season, and she hasn't appeared in anything since her show got canceled in 2019, so I'm very excited to see what role she plays in this series as well. I hope that they bring back Luke Cage for this season too, because with the way that his show ended, there's a lot of potential for him to be either an antagonist or an ally. At number 14, I have Avengers Secret Wars. Now, this movie even existing is honestly kind of a dream come true. I've always wanted there to be a Secret Wars movie. I mean, it's the biggest Marvel Comics event of all time, and the Russo brothers are directing, and everything they make is amazing. So while I'm sure this movie will be good, the comic is just so massive that this movie will probably end up being kind of a mess. And me personally, I thought that Endgame was not nearly as good as Infinity War, so I'm kind of expecting that pattern to repeat here. Despite all that though, I am beyond excited to see this movie. And this movie will also reportedly reboot the entire MCU, which is very intriguing. At number 13, I have the upcoming X-Men reboot. Now, there's little information about this movie, aside from the fact that it will be releasing after Secret Wars. Now, after the disaster that was the Fox X-Men franchise, it's time for the X-Men to get the faithful adaptation that they deserve. The MCU has already been introducing members of the X-Men in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, The Marvels, and Deadpool and Wolverine, with comic-accurate suits and comic-accurate personalities as well. And Jake Schreider, who directed Thunderbolts, is being eyed to direct this movie. And that movie was great at getting us to care about an ensemble group of misfits, so the X-Men movie would be very safe in his hands. At number 12, I have the Iron Man game. I love the old MCU Iron Man games, and I'm very excited for another game. And this will be made by Motive Studios, who made the Dead Space remake, and the flying mechanics in that game were amazing, so I'm sure this game will control amazingly as well. At number 12, I have Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time. Now, there's not a lot of info about this movie, but I thought Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was amazing, and I am beyond hyped for the sequel. And with it coming out after Doomsday, it might be set on Battleworld, which is awesome. I just want Iron Fist to be in this one though, because having the two martial arts themed Marvel characters teaming up just makes too much sense. At number 10, I have the Blade game. This is a story driven third person game developed by Arcane Studios, who made the Dishonored games. It's going to be set in Paris and will follow Blade as he tries to stop a vampire invasion. The trailers look amazing, and I love Arcane's previous games, so I think this game is probably going to be awesome. At number 9, I have the future seasons of Marvel Rivals. Now, this one is kind of cheating because season 2 technically isn't over yet, but I love Marvel Rivals. I think it's one of the best multiplayer games out there right now, and the fact we're going to be getting a new character every 6 weeks is very exciting and will definitely help keep the community more active. So I'm very excited for what the future of this game has in store. At number 8, I have Insomniac's X-Men game. Now, this game's development was leaked. It's not actually going to come out until 2030, so yeah, it's a long wait. But it'll be the second in Insomniac's planned X-Men trilogy and a sequel to Wolverine, so this game may or may not have Wolverine in it. But regardless, I love Insomniac. Excited for anything they make. At number 7, I have Venom Lethal Protector. This is going to be a standalone Venom game that takes place in between Spider-Man 2 and 3 and will allow us to play as Venom, roaming around New York City and murdering people. I hope it'll be M rated because the stuff we saw with Venom and Spider-Man 2 was already pushing the T rating a lot. At number 6, I have 1943 Rise of Hydra. This is going to be an action-adventure game that allows you to play as 4 different characters during World War II. The game will include Steve Rogers and Azuri, who is T'Challa's grandfather, as the 2 main protagonists who use melee attacks, and will also be able to play as the Howling Commando Gabriel Jones and Wakandan spy Nanali, who are both going to use guns. So it seems this game will include a mix of melee combat and ranged combat, and that variety is pretty nice. The trailers for this game look amazing, the mocapping is so good that it actually looks live action, and the voice acting is pretty good too. And this game is being developed by Skydance and Amy Hennig, who is great at making story-based games, so this game is almost certainly going to be amazing. At number 5, I have Spider-Man 3. The first 2 Spider-Man games are easily the best Marvel games ever, so I'm obviously excited for the sequel. And Carnage is supposed to be the villain of this one, which is awesome. I hope they really increase the horror elements with this one. At number 4, I have the Wolverine game. This is going to be set in the Insomniac Spider-Man universe and will feature Wolverine and other X-Men characters. Now, the fact that Insomniac is making a Marvel game with a new character is exciting. The fact that it will probably be rated M is even more exciting. But what really sold it for me was the fact that it's being written by Walt Williams, who also wrote the story for Spec Ops: The Line, one of the best stories in all of gaming. So this game is basically destined to be a masterpiece. At number 3, I have Avengers Doomsday. This one just kind of goes without saying. It's going to be made by the Russos, and it's basically going to be the next Infinity War, which is my personal favorite MCU movie. This is going to be the biggest Avengers movie yet. It's going to include the core Avengers team led by Sam Wilson and consisting of Thor, Black Panther, Iron Man, Shang-Chi, Falcon, Clint Barton, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. It's also going to feature the new Avengers from Thunderbolts. It's going to include the Young Avengers led by Wong and Star-Lord, and consisting of Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, Tommy and Billy Maximoff, Miss Marvel, and Dupe. It's going to include the Fantastic Four. It's going to include X-Men characters like Beast, Professor X, Magneto, Nightcrawler, Mystique, Cyclops, and Gambit. It's also going to include Namor, M'Baku, Loki, Peggy Carter, Reed Richards' son Franklin Richards, Molecule Man, Hulk, She-Hulk, Scar, and a new version of T'Challa, who could either be a variant or a grown-up version of T'Challa Jr. And obviously Doctor Doom is going to be the main villain in all of this. This movie just seems absolutely insane, and it seems like most of this movie will be set on Battleworld, even though most of us thought this movie would end with the creation of Battleworld. However, I'm still super excited to see all of these characters come together, and I hope they give Doctor Doom the glory he deserves so that he can become the next Thanos. At number 2, I have X-Men 97 Seasons 2 and 3. I thought the first season was amazing. It might be the best Marvel show ever made, although Daredevil is pretty up there too. The story is just so fast-paced. Every episode is a roller coaster. Each of the characters get their time to shine, and there's cameos from other Marvel characters without it being too distracting. It's just such an engaging show, and I'm very excited to see what Season 2 has in store, with Gambit coming back and Apocalypse being the main villain. But at number 1, I have Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Now, as I've said, I love the first 2 Spider-Verse movies. I think they're easily the best Marvel movies ever made, so I'm super excited to see Beyond the Spider-Verse. And since it's going to be the conclusion of the trilogy, I am beyond excited to see how this amazing story ends. And that's my ranking. Which of these projects excites you the most? Did you learn about any new projects? Let me know in the comments below. I am Midnight Drift, and I will see you later. Alright, so I recorded this video many weeks ago. I wanted to get this video out before Ironheart, but I got distracted with other videos I wanted to make, and now Ironheart has ended, and Phase 5 of the MCU is over. We are now officially in Phase 6, which is very exciting. And in between the time of me recording this video and editing it, there have been numerous new announcements and changes to the slate, so I'm just going to run through them real quick. So first of all, the Black Panther game, it's been cancelled, which is very disappointing. This was being developed by a new studio called Cliffhanger Games, which was made up mostly of employees from Monolith Studios, who were working on a very similar Wonder Woman game, but both games and both studios were shut down, which is just so sad. I was very excited for this game, but it was being published by EA, so it's not hard to believe that they'd do something like this. But we are still getting a Black Panther game with 1943 Rise of Hydra, so there is still some hope for the Black Panther franchise. But while this has been cancelled, there have been other new projects that have been announced. Tōkon Fighting Souls is an anime-inspired fighting game. It is being developed by Arc System Works, who also made Dragon Ball FighterZ and Guilty Gear Strive. It will have both single-player and multiplayer modes. It will have a tag team mechanic where you swap between multiple characters to fight the other team, which also consists of multiple characters. The only 8 characters they currently have announced are Captain America, Doctor Doom, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, Miss Marvel, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, and Storm. While I'm not a huge fighting game fan, it is nice to see Marvel finally making a fighting game based solely on Marvel characters. While I like the Marvel vs. Capcom series, they're not really true standalone Marvel games because they're crossing over with another property. And neither Marvel or DC have released a fighting game since Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Injustice 2 came out in 2017, so it's great to see that superhero fighting games still have potential. If I had to place it on the list, I put it above Cosmic Invasion, but below Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Seasons 2 and 3. Next up, Deadpool VR. This is going to be a VR game exclusive to the MetaQuest 3 and featuring Deadpool, who's going to be voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, who seems like a good fit for the role. It will be first person and will allow you to have multiple weapons, from pistols to machetes to grappling hooks. There will be multiple villains in the game, including Omega Red. It honestly looks very fun. I put it above The Punisher, but below the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, Fantastic Four First Steps has recently been released, but apparently a sequel is already in development, which is crazy because it just came out, and it already has a release date of 2028. While I am pretty hyped for First Steps, I can't really get excited for a sequel until after I've seen the original, so I'm going to place it below First Steps, but above Deadpool VR. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies are going to be re-released into theaters this September. All 3 movies will be released in 4K, and they're showing the Spider-Man 2.1 version of Spider-Man 2, which is just an extended version with some extra scenes. This actually sounds very exciting, because I haven't seen any of these movies in theaters before. I put this re-release above Ironheart, but below Black Panther 3. Now, I actually forgot to talk about one of the Disney Plus shows. There's this show called Legends, which is basically just a recap series. Each episode is focused on one character or concept in the MCU, and edits all the major moments together in a short episode. The series was actually on hiatus for a while during its second season, with them not releasing any episodes at all during 2024. But recently they released a new episode about Ironheart in order to tie in with the upcoming show, so I guess the series is back. I've seen a few of the episodes, but it's really nothing incredible, because it's all just reused footage. So I put Legends Season 2 above Spidey and His Amazing Friends, but below Iron Man and His Awesome Friends. Now let's move on to the projects that I have already discussed. I made this video while Marvel Rivals was in its second season, but now the game is in its third season, titled The Abyss Awakens. The story is about Null and Hela teaming up to become the rulers of symbiotes. The season will introduce Phoenix and Blade, and we're going to get one new character added into the game every month. And we're also getting a new map called Clintar Celestial Husk that's set on a dead Celestial. All this sounds very exciting. We got the first trailer for Iron Man and His Awesome Friends. It's apparently called Awesome Friends, not Amazing Friends. I pronounced it wrong earlier. And the trailer honestly looks hilarious because Tony Stark is like 8 years old. I might watch it just for the memes. For Vision Quest, the series will not only feature the return of Edith, Tony Stark's second AI, but it will also introduce Jocasta, who in the comics is the wife of Ultron, which is very interesting. I never thought we would get to see Ultron have a love interest in the MCU, but I'm honestly open to it. And I'm excited to see Edith back too, because her last appearance was in Spider-Man Far From Home back in 2019, and both Jarvis and Friday are rumored to return as well. All of this makes me even more excited for the series. For Avengers Doomsday, the plot will apparently feature a conflict between the main Avengers led by Sam Wilson and the new Avengers led by Bucky Barnes, and we saw at the end of Thunderbolts that Sam was not happy about them using the Avengers name, and he also did not want the Avengers to be forced into working with the government, so it makes sense that there'd be conflict. We might have a Civil War 2.0 on our hands, and I am all for it. And the movie will also include Namora, who is the wife of Namor, and it will also include Atuma, who was one of Namor's warriors. It's very interesting that they're bringing in all the characters from Wakanda Forever. I hope we get to see Namor go to war with Doctor Doom. For Spider-Man Brand New Day, both MJ and Ned Leeds will return, which I am very mixed about, since it might lessen the impact of the ending of No Way Home, but I am open to see how they handle it. Maybe Ned will actually become Hobgoblin in this movie. But the most exciting news is that Frank Castle is going to return in this movie, which might seem weird, but in the comics, the Punisher originally debuted as a Spider-Man villain. So his first MCU movie appearance being in a Spider-Man movie actually makes a lot of sense, though I am kind of worried to see how they pull off the Punisher in a PG-13 setting. But this basically confirms that this movie will be street level and not multiverse level, which is totally fine. This is the beginning of a new trilogy after all. So that Venom tease will probably be resolved in either Doomsday or Secret Wars, since the first time Peter got the Venom suit was in the original Secret Wars comic. I am very hyped for this movie. I just hope they bring back Mac Gargan as Scorpion, because he was set up way back in Homecoming in 2017, and we haven't seen him since. For Daredevil Born Again, Season 2 will feature the return of Brett Mahoney, who was sorely missed in Season 1. He was one of the best side characters in the original show, so it's great to see him back. But if you're going to bring him back, you might as well bring back Matt's mom as well, because she was missing during Season 1 also. This season will also bring back Karen, who was absent for most of Season 1, as well as Foggy, which I am very mixed on, because while he did appear to die in Season 1, he has actually faked his death many times in the comics, so it is possible that he is actually still alive in the MCU and he just faked his death. However, it is also possible that he is actually dead for real, and he will only appear in Season 2 through flashbacks, which is honestly for the best, because bringing him back would just lessen the stakes of the show, and there have already been enough fake-out deaths in the MCU. Both Daredevil and Kingpin have already had fake-out deaths, so we don't need to add Foggy to that list too. For your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy will be appearing as Spider-Woman in Season 2, which sounds promising. I like Spider-Gwen as a character. I just hope she's similar to her Spider-Verse counterpart, because that's my favorite version of the character. And that's all the new updates for now. This is easily my biggest video yet, so I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate all the support I've gotten already for being such a new channel. I appreciate all you guys who watch my videos, but that's it for this video. I will see you later.